Yes. And we're here.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I missed you guys the last 2 weeks. Nothing really new to report. We do have a new sponsor on the podcast called biotropiclabs.com. It's a sports supplement website. The guy that owns the website is partnered with me. So anything that is sold, there's a code if you guys want to use it on the website. If you use the code TWR, you get 15% off any one-time purchase. If you use the code TMR with the lowercase s, you get 20% off any subscription purchase, which includes one additional free supplement. So head on over there, guys. That is my new partner and a new website and our new sponsor. So that's fun. You can say hi.
Oh, hello there.
Free.
No, money's around here too.
Yeah, but that's what's been going on, guys. Is that how's everyone been doing? Everyone been doing good?
Pretty good. Good to be back.
I'm getting ready to go to Fort Myers tomorrow with my girlfriend for the weekend to meet her aunt and uncle. So
fun.
I didn't want to miss the show because we had missed the last 2 weeks, and I'm like, if you guys still wanted to do this, I was able to do it tonight at my sister's house. So I'm like,
nice.
I'm babysitting, so I'm like, they have a desktop computer. Like I said, I usually use my laptop. I got to figure out how to get the Wi-Fi to go back on it. We'll be good to go. But I've been using my tablet on my other podcast. On the other podcast, I do the wrestling one. So yeah.
Go with what works.
We could talk about Elimination Chamber. I know that was brought up in the group chat. What is your guys' thoughts on John Cena becoming a heel?
Finally.
Yeah, you can tell.
after 20 years of being the good guy, I think that at for his swan song as a full timer, because I don't believe he'll never wrestle again. He's 46 and he's in the best shape he's been in 15 years or 10 years. I just don't see him. I see him retiring from full-time competition to pursue his other endeavors, but I don't see him saying never again. I think he'll wrestle one, maybe two matches a year. He'll make appearances. He'll do WWE stuff.
His age?
Yeah. I still think he's got gas left in the tank to wrestle.
Well,
a match here, a match there.
Your body takes a beating with that. I mean, how at the age of 46, how can you still be able to take it? I mean, I know it's taking everything, but still, I mean, when you're past 40, I mean, your stamina, especially as a wrestler, I think is, gone.
Yeah, and Lou, and to build on your point, everyone knows I'm not the biggest. I think it's an awesome sport. I'm being honest. I don't know a lot about it like you guys, but I love to talk.
Right.
So I'm just learning, and I'll chime in for the 2 cents. Yeah, even it's fake. Those guys are awesome. I mean, those guys are battering rams. They're taking a beating, and they tour. Heck, they're more than like NHL and NBA guys. They're like every night in a different state, like no days off in between games. So I mean, that's that's really physical. I mean, I don't a turnbuckle and broken chairs. Those guys are getting really physically. That's really a rigorous, violent sport. So
and the older you get, how much more can you take?
Yeah, and he's like The Rock, and I don't know much about wrestling, but I know there's some really smart guys that have gone and done great with going into entertainment, like Adam said, with movies. So if his body's kind of telling him to walk away, and he's got a lot of money and a lot of fun, and it's a lot safer for his body, he can kind of choose his own schedule. He doesn't want to be on the road, probably. I mean, I think he's probably leaning towards just kind of going in to be an actor and still being the same old.
Well, basically, he is an actor. I mean,
same old awesome John Cena, but maybe just you think he'll still wrestle a little bit? I could see him just walk.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think he'll spot start, kind of like a reliever in baseball. I think he'll come in to work a program with some up and comers.
That's right.
because he's still John Cena at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People will still he'll still draw. People will still want to see him. And I think that when it comes to where the WWE is going and pushing the storylines forward, because even though John Cena is retiring, the WWE isn't stopping. And
No.
so when he beats, because I think he'll win. I think he'll beat Cody at Mania. I think he beats Cody at Mania to win the belt, to win 17. And once he's got 17, then he's gonna have to. They're gonna have to pivot to somebody else being a face, because I don't think you keep Cody. Cody's gonna take a step
CM
back.
Punk.
Do you think
CM
Punk?
I after hearing what he said on Raw, I think he's coming after The Rock, and I think he's coming after John Cena. I really do. I after what I mean, again, it's kind of cool in a way that now they're on Netflix and they can have uncensored talks and stuff. To hear him come out and tell The Rock, we can't. I like to tell you this to your face, and we can't have your arm bullshit that makes you get goosebumps. And how he said, well, and John, he goes, all that bullshit that you did to these fans and these kids, we can all see right through you. So if they move off of Cody as a face, I think CM Punk is the next face. But my question with that is then what do you do with him and Seth Rollins? Because Rollins and him have a huge thing going on.
They're hot right now. Well,
Yeah.
I think so. If you want to put Punk over as the face, then you have him beat Seth at Mania, and then you have him beat John at SummerSlam.
Okay.
That's how I would play that.
All right, I'll buy that.
Because then John can have a 2 or 3 month run, because you have April to August. From April to August, John has it's a May, June, July. So it's a 3-month run with the belt. He doesn't necessarily have to win. He doesn't necessarily have to wrestle every week. He comes out, talks shit to Punk, talks shit to the crowd, does his heel thing, and then he can lose to Punk at SummerSlam, and he can pivot back to being a face and go out as a face.
I agree, but I think he's going to go out on like a white knight. He's going to go out as a good guy. He's not going to go out as a heel. No way are they going to let John Cena go out as a heel. He'll go out as a face at the end of it. Whenever he decides that this is it, I'm going to go to, like you mentioned earlier, but part-time, where he comes in, makes an appearance like The Rock does. I think he goes back to being a face before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they work a program with him and Rock and Cody and maybe Punk.
I was gonna say, but you don't think that maybe Paul Heyman owes CM Punk a favor? Because remember, because he helped the Bloodline at War Games, and I'm wondering if that favor isn't something along the lines of being in a triple threat match at WrestleMania with Cody and John Cena. Because again, CM Punk's never headlined at WrestleMania before. This would be one of those times that he could do that, something like that. That's just me. I could be way off the rocker too by saying
that could work, because they could because in the promo material, some of the promos I've seen. Now I don't know if they were real or fan created, so take it with a grain of salt. But it had Cena and Rock, and then Cody and like a mystery figure behind him, and they could put Punk and Rhodes together.
Or is it Reigns? Or is it Roman Reigns?
It could be Reigns, but I don't know how that would go over. I think you could float that idea in the media, on social media, and see how that does. You could develop that next week, and in because we're only about a month out from Mania now.
Mm-hmm.
You could float that this upcoming Monday on Raw, or even tomorrow night on SmackDown.
Hmm.
You could float that idea of Cody teaming up with Roman and see how the crowd reacts to that.
Well, speaking of that,
But
you guys watch the Rumble, right? The Royal Rumble match
yeah,
I didn't see
with
it, but I
Jay
heard.
winning. What did you guys think of Joe Hendry? I know he's in TNA, but he got over pretty well with the crowd. They know him a lot. I've watched some of his matches in TNA. He's really not that bad of a wrestler, and he's got one of the most catchy songs you've ever. That song stuck in my head. So yeah,
I believe.
I believe in.
I believe in
do
Joe
too.
Hendry. Yeah,
I do too.
I would love to see. That was the other thing I was thinking about New Blood, getting
Okay.
somebody up, bring Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, LA Knight, some of these young guns that haven't had a title run yet.
Okay.
That you could work an angle with where they could beat Cena. Because I always think about when somebody's retiring from a sport like wrestling, or it's a work where it's a brand, and you're not, unlike regular sports, unlike the stick and ball sports where you're, even when your favorite player retires, he's only one guy on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter. Even when Gretzky retired, hockey went on. When
Right.
Jordan retired, basketball went on. So you have to give. So like with all the other sports, they have so many other guys. With wrestling, you have to be, when a guy retires, especially if he's leaving with the belt, you have to get the belt back off of him. And put it on somebody new. So I'm always thinking about what angle could they take. The other thing they could do is they could put the belt on Cena at Mania. He could run with the belt to the end of the year. Then on the last Raw of the year, he could drop the belt. He could vacate the title, and then they could have, or he could drop the belt on the first Raw he could drop the belt the first Monday in December on Raw. And then they could do a 3-week tournament to determine a battle for the vacant title. And
okay.
And then at the first pay-per-view is it still called Day One?
I think so, but I think that's the first pay-per-view.
Makes sense.
The New Year pay-per-view, the pay-per-view in January.
Oh yeah.
Right after the New Year. Then they could have a 2-man battle. They can have a triple threat. They can have a fatal 4-way for the vacant title.
Do you think, Bud, that sometime during the year they're going to call up Obafemi from NXT? Do you see them bringing up him, or who's the other one that's down there too? Trick Williams. I think are the two in NXT that are like the two hot right now.
I think they both come up.
Okay.
To work a storyline to see if they can make it on the main roster. Because I think this is the time to start pivoting away from Orton and Cena and Reigns and Rollins and Punk, because we've all got to acknowledge that they're all getting older. They're all in their late 30s and 40s, and some of them in their late 40s. And as time wears on, Punk's got his, Punk and AJ Lee, they're a family. I'm sure that she wants him home more. Becky just had the baby. Roman's in his early 40s. Orton's in his mid 40s. Those 4 guys, the guys that have been carrying the roster for so long. You've got to start thinking about how you're going to pivot away from those guys and bring in fresh talent step up into those roles and be leaders and carry the brand forward.
Yeah, and again, now that they're partnering with TNA, you could see a guy like Joe Hendry. You could see those guys. Like the cool thing is, I think the other day, I want to say it was either last night or again, being on a wrestling podcast, I'm watching more wrestling highlights than I ever have in my life.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the Hardy Boys run NXT for the first time in a long time, and it's cool to see them back, possibly back in the WWE, because we know the history with them. I mean, they were one of the elite tag teams with the Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian, and back in the heyday before the WWE turned what it was to now it's going back to that way that it was. But it was kind of cool. But yeah, I've been watching NXT. I like Obafemi. I really do. I think he's a force, and he has a match with Moose, who's the ex-champion in TNA. So those two men are like a slow motion car accident. They're huge guys, so should be good.
And I think bringing up some big brawlers would give more competition to guys like Braun Breaker and
good point, bud. Good
point. Braun Strowman. Because unfortunately, perception is reality. And when you have a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds, he can't work a guy who's 6'2", 210. They just don't put on as clean of matches. So getting a couple other big guys up there, up on the main roster to go toe to toe with Braun Strowman, with Bronson Reed and
Jacob Fatu.
Not Fatu wasn't beat. Was the Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, and Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker.
Those three. Yeah. And then because there's so much here that you can. But the landscape of the WWE is so wide open right now that I think this is the best chance they've had in 15 years to recapture the magic of the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think after the heel turn, this might be the biggest heel turn since Hogan.
Yeah, I agree.
NWO. I really do. That they actually, I've been reading some articles, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with them, but they say this one was bigger than Hogan because it took so long for John to become a heel that's why it was bigger for him to turn heel than it was for Hogan, who I don't remember. I was a young kid when Hogan first started, WrestleMania 3 when he picked up Andre the Giant. I forget what WrestleMania he had the match with Ultimate Warrior.
I think that was 7.
Yeah.
7. That was 7. Okay.
7.
I'm not a spring chicken. I'll be 42 this year, but those were the early years.
Somehow I'm still 22, but I was actually around to see that too. No, I'm kidding.
Those were the early years of Hogan, so I don't know how much of a heel Hogan was during that time, but when he took to the NWO, that was the biggest heel turn.
You sparked my memory there, Brad. Lou, were you at that show? I was the only time I've ever seen wrestling in person. My uncle scored. We didn't come from mine, but my uncle scored from seats at Madison Square Garden in the city. So I went in there and saw. I was there for Hulk. I think it was Hulk and Andre. Did you ever go to there? Lou, that was the one time I went.
No, I saw it on television though. I'd never been to a live WWE match. I went to a real wrestling match, high school and whatever, but never I think the only time Hogan was a heel when he acted in Rocky 3. The Ultimate Male versus the Ultimate Meatball.
So
I had to throw it in. I had to do it.
Nice. So Brad, you think it's just it's really unique because it took so long. So he was good for a while. That's really what heel is. So it's a late turn of events where he just goes rogue, right?
Yeah, Cena, and Adam mentioned it earlier. Cena was always a face, and he was like, I think, so this day he's the biggest draw for the Make-A-Wish Foundation for like celebrities.
He's granted the most Make-A-Wishes. So a heel, face is a good guy. He's a guy that comes out and he says all the right things. And he wrestles clean and he doesn't cheat. And he doesn't use weapons. he does, he's always the good guy. And
Gotcha.
a heel is a bad guy. A heel does whatever needs to be done to win.
I love
A
it.
heel cheats, heel uses weapons, they'll jump their opponents, like they'll come out and like before a match, they might attack their opponent in the backstage area.
Yeah.
Or they'll come out and they'll, hit the referee so that they can use so that they can in a traditional match, you're just supposed to wrestle, right?
Gotcha,
and
gotcha.
you have your move sets and you like an elbow drop or a clothesline, but you're not supposed to use weapons. So you hit the referee, knock the referee out, and then you go under the ring and you get out a chair and then you hit your opponent with a chair and you throw the chair back under the ring and the referee rolls over and he's like, oh, 1, 2, 3, and then the bad guy wins. And and John Cena for the last 25 years, he's always been a good guy, always been a face, always been, that clean, Mr. Clean, clean cut, clean shaven, early in the very beginning of his career, he did work. I wouldn't say he was a heel, but he was more ambiguous. He was kind of an anti-hero. He made jokes. He was, he insulted, but he always worked clean. He didn't have what they call in the business dusty finishes, named after Cody's dad. And
That's right, Dusty. Okay, I'm picking it back up now. Thank you. Yeah.
So for John, for Hogan back in '96 to Hollywood Hogan and to attack with. I forget how, because I meant to look that up, but
They were
Macho
great
Man
wrestlers.
Sting.
They were great wrestlers back then. As a kid, I really was big into it. So, hey, I'm going to get back into it, man. I love it. Sorry, Adam. So what you were saying? So, like the career path was mostly non-heel, traditional.
The group here.
So in '90.
Guys, this is my sister.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
Alex, I'm over in Mount Vernon, New York. Actually, I'm next door. How you doing?
Oh, nice. Nice to meet you,
Yeah,
Kelly.
we got-
I'm doing
We
well.
got Brad and Adam over here.
There's Adam
Adam.
and Bradley.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. This is my Thursday.
Awesome. I don't mean to interrupt. It was nice meeting you. Go ahead.
Nice to
meet you
Nice
too.
meeting you as well.
Have a nice night. Have a nice
Good
night.
night.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, Lo.
Okay. I thought as long as she was in here, why not?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. See you later.
Okay.
I mentioned her all to you, so as long as she was in here, I thought, hey, why not?
Hey, man.
There
Yeah.
you go.
All good, man.
Absolutely. More
I
than
mean,
merrier.
I mean,
Share
it's a
the
family
word.
show after
Share the
all.
word. Share the love. Share the love. No, it's cool though. So
Well-
Adam, don't you think it's a little bit that is unique because, like you guys said before, Hogan was getting up there, but I mean, Cena,
Yeah.
from all indications, 46 to do it this late, because I
Yeah.
respect him to really. So he might just go into the big events, like make appearances.
Yeah.
That's a really brilliant. That's a really smart. That's gonna just drum up attention, which is really what the fans want, man. That's gonna sell tickets and fill seats.
I mean,
Right.
46
So
in the hour,
it's always going to fill seats, but regardless of who's there, it's a great sport. It's fun, but I think that's
Let's
really
see.
smart. It adds some really spice to it. Having him as a heel is a really cool. It's out of left field, so you got a shot.
Yeah.
I think it's a great move. It's controversial.
To do something.
It's gonna put eyes on the TV.
Yeah. To
Let's
do
see.
something. So going back to what I was saying, in '96, when Hogan goes heel, when he attacks Macho Man and Sting, and all of a sudden out of the blue, and then it's kind of the same thing with Cena on Saturday night, where he just out of the blue attacks Cody.
Yeah.
And it sets him up to have to do whatever it takes to win the title one last time. To beat Ric Flair's record, which I hope Flair will be there for it.
Flair.
And
So
Rick
let's
was
see.
the dirtiest.
46
Rick was the dirtiest player in the game. Like he's the poster boy of dirty wrestlers. Was Ric Flair.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nature boy.
He
I
was-
still love the guy. That's a character. That's a character that every sport, especially wrestling, got to have characters. I love the Cena. I love the Cena going heel. I really wasn't aware of that. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, and And,
We all need a
and,
villain.
and obviously that was the biggest story of the night, but the rest of the chamber was super good too. The women's chamber was super good. Jade Cargill coming back
Mhm.
and laying a beat down on was Bianca Belair.
Naomi,
She absolutely. Oh, was it okay?
Naomi.
Naomi, thank you.
who she
Yes.
thought that Naomi had attacked her. So that's
wow.
why Cargill went after Naomi, which Bianca, if you watch the match, Bianca Belair stuck in the chamber. She's beating on the door, and Jane Cargill is just going to town on Naomi.
Yeah.
Just
She
beating her
beat
within
the
every
dog piss
fight.
out of her.
Yeah, just
She
beat,
beat
yeah,
the-
absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
the security's out there and they got her and they pull her and they're going to pull her back and Naomi's crawling out of the ring and she grabbed the ring door and slammed her with the ring door. That was insane.
Sure.
And then Owens and Sami Zayn. What a match. Those two don't.
They beat the hell out of each other. That was an unsanctioned match, so anything went. Yeah. That was
Well, that's
brutal.
the idea.
But Randy came back out. You're like, oh. Kevin's like,
And then Kevin,
Sure. Why
Going
not?
down. It's about to
and
pop
he gives
off.
him an RKO,
Love it.
Yeah.
and he goes for the punt, and security steps in.
pulls him out before he can
Yeah.
punt him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Guys, since I'm kind of asking, like I'm poking around trying to get more into it, what would you suggest?
Yeah, sure.
What would you suggest all the three, having been through it and really know like where to watch what? What's like the main event? Someone like me just getting going, like Monday night. So I just start tuning in every
Monday
Monday.
night.
There might be
Yeah.
Watch Raw.
Oh dear.
Raw and
All right.
SmackDown.
It's a done deal. Yeah, and anyone listening,
Yeah.
I mean, because it seems like a sport. It's gaining more momentum, and like you said, they need more characters. You know, it's not yet. Love him or hate him. The NBA was fun when like a Dennis Rodman was there. The shock value, the controversy, people yelling,
Yes.
people. It sells seats. Love it or hate it.
It really
Well,
does.
I think they're kind of humans.
So every league needs a villain, right? So like the fact that he's doing that, I mean, that's a
Well-
good marketing move. I think it's gonna. It seems like wrestling's really on the up and up. I'm getting back into it.
Yeah.
Well, being that Dennis Rodman from outer space, I mean, when you count that, like, no, never mind.
Yeah. I know you don't like him, Lou. I mean, I know he's a character. He's got his good and bad, but I mean,
he's
the
not
guy
from
the guy was
space, he's
colorful
from
and he went. The guy was colorful, but he played 110. I think he's really fun to watch. So I think Cena, like,
Best rebounder of all time.
yeah, I
The
always
best
like
rebounder
I
of
always like
all
the
time.
I always like the tough, like kind of defensive guys. I don't like the most, he wasn't a big time recruit, so I just rooted for the.
No.
I mean, he literally like made his way to the league and with no backing. So
Well,
pretty
that was
cool.
just
Pretty cool. Nice story. He's a pretty cool guy. Oh yeah. But I think Cena, like, so you guys see him coming in like as soon as Monday, or is he like indefinitely? Are they trying to figure out how much they're going to use him? You think?
I think because he wasn't on Monday night. He wasn't on Raw this past week. He was in Prague. I'm not sure if he was shooting a movie or if he was shooting another, shooting the next season of Peacemaker.
Okay.
But but I don't think we'll see him. I don't think we'll see him this week. I think he'll be on Raw the 2 weeks before Mania to come out and work promos for Mania. And
Cool.
I can't wait for him to see his first true heel promo that he cuts. That's going to be good. But again, like I said, that the fact of the matter is that there's so much more going on in WWE right now than there has been in did you say last 10 years, Brad?
I would agree, but I think Braun Breaker, I don't know what you would call Braun Breaker. He's not a heel, but he's not a face either. He's kind of on the fence.
He's like a brawler.
He's a tweener, or tweaker, whatever you want to call those guys. Because now he's got this whole thing going with the Judgment Day. So he's obviously the face in that equation because the Judgment Day, as we all know, is the heel. So,
they're a heel faction. Yep.
I don't know what category you consider Braun Breaker. At this point, he's a face, but he could go the other way too.
Oh, easily, yeah.
And then what would you consider Gunther a heel in that case, with Jay being the face and their match?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Okay.
Well, her.
I hope Jay
I would-
wins. That's just I like Gunther, but I hope Jay wins. At
I
WrestleMania.
think Jay does win.
That's just me.
I think he finally has his WrestleMania moment. I think he gets to main. I think they should main event the first night, and they put on their match. I really think that they should have an uninterrupted match. I think if I was booking it, I wouldn't book any interference. I would just let Jay and Gunther work. Unless the only thing I could think, if you were going to try to work interference, is you have um his name Kaiser
Kaiser,
and
Jimmy.
Jimmy Uso come out, and they go at it, and then you have, because you could set up a Kaiser Gunther rivalry. You have Kaiser
Mhm.
Gunther. You have Kaiser come out and screw Gunther, even accidentally. You know, he could be lining Jay up for a clothesline, or something like that, and he misses and hits Gunther, and
Jay wins.
Jay picks up the win, and then that can start a feud between Gunther and Kaiser, and then
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
You have Braun Breaker come out, or Braun Strowman, sorry, because Breaker's in the feud with the Judgment Day. You have Braun Breaker come out and beat the hell out of both Kaiser and Gunther.
Yes.
Who's got the IC title right now? I don't remember offhand.
Braun Breaker.
Okay, Breaker. Okay.
Right.
The United States champion is Shinsuke, and I like the Shinsuke Nakamura that we have now. I really like the dark Shinsuke Nakamura that we have now. Now, is he still the champ, or did LA Knight win the title back?
No, he took the title.
LA Knight took the title back?
No, I think he lost to Shinsuke. I think that
he lost to Shinsuke at the Rumble, right? Yeah.
Right.
Rumble.
And they didn't have a match at Elimination Chamber.
Correct.
So as far
one of them did.
As far as I know, that Shinsuke still has the U.S. title.
Yeah. Then because right now it's Cody, Gunther. They're the ones that hold the heavyweight titles. Then it's Braun Breaker, Shinsuke Nakamura. The tag team titles are
Motor City Machine Guns?
No, they're buying for the titles, bud. Oh my God, it's Ciampa and I'm gonna have to look it up now. It's Ciampa and remember the other guy's name. Hang on a minute, let me look it up real quick. Tag team. Let's see. I forget the name of the team at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know offhand who's got the tag titles.
It's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, but they call themselves something. They have a name, and I can't think of what their name is, because I know they have a name like the Hardys and the Dudleys.
Yeah.
They have a name, and I can't think of. Like not DNA. I forget what the name. Anyway, those are the tag team titles right now, are Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. But the guys that are in the chance, you have the War Raiders, the Motor City Machine Guns, Finn Balor and JD McDonough, who they had the belts recently. The New Day, possibly. They're a heel right now too, because they
War
kicked out
Raiders.
The War Raiders. Yep, there's another one. That's another one that's up. Yeah.
Okay, so the War Raiders are the Raw Tag Champions.
Okay.
Unless maybe that's an old.
Let's see. Is that Raw or SmackDown?
That's Raw.
Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
As
Hang on
of
a minute.
Sounds like Raw. Oh boy, it's turning
Tag
ugly.
team champions on SmackDown. Oh, it's DIY. That's who it is.
Okay.
That's their name.
Yeah.
It's DIY.
Yeah.
That's
DIY.
Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
And
They're the ones who have SmackDown right now. So who's
and the
the
War
Raw?
Raiders have
The
the
Raw
War
ones?
Raiders.
The Warriors. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you're correct, but yes,
Yeah.
it is the War Raiders. Yep.
They're
And
the Raw.
they're I forget who is buying for them at the moment. I mean, they're the
Yeah, I'm
Titans.
not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you have the Awesome Truth. Oh no, that's an old tag team. But yeah, they.
Yeah, that broke up.
Adam's right. I mean, the WWE now is in a whole new direction from what it was when Vince McMahon was in charge.
30 years ago.
Triple H has done, bringing guys back, bringing new. The deal with TNA, I really honestly think that that's going to open up. I mean, if you watch the Royal Rumble, when it's amazing, you don't know these guys and they come out and they get that big of a boom. It's amazing. Like
No,
Joe Hendry,
Joe Hendry's pop.
no one. I mean, I watched an interview with him after the Rumble happened, and he didn't even expect that he was going to get that big. And if you watch, I watched a lot of YouTube where they react to all the guys coming out, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Joe Hendry," and like you hear his music hit up, and of course he has his TNA championship, and the reaction that you get from the commentators was cool. So it's cool that they partnered up with TNA where you can bring the Hardys back. You have Moose, who's a good wrestler. You have, so there's a lot of good talent down there that's young too, young talent that can come up, through a WrestleMania through a Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, one of those, major pay-per-views moving forward. And that's the new talent that we're going to see. Plus a Obi Femi and a Trick Williams and guys like that are in NXT. So they've got a huge talent pool beneath the main roster that now they can start feeding these guys in and getting getting away from the Cenas and the Punks and the Rollins and the Reigns and all those guys and giving this new blood, this new wave of wrestlers that are coming up, like Obafemi and Trick and, guys like that. And I mean, I'm not dissing on AEW. AEW's got some good players too, but the WWE and TNA have it. They're on top right now. AEW, kind of on the low end of it right now.
Well, and and I think that the fact that the AEW, that I really think what killed AEW was Triple H. Because when Triple H took over as head of creative, when Vince got in trouble, he went back to basics. And I think that was, he went back to telling stories with his wrestlers and letting the wrestlers tell the stories both on the mic and in the ring. And AEW just doesn't have the same personalities that available to utilize, and the fact that they're aging stars like Adam Copeland and
Christian Cage.
Yeah, thank you, because I couldn't think of anyone else.
The top two right now in that league are Adam Hangman, Adam Hangman and MJF, who I can't stand.
They could fall off a building and I'd be happy.
But you know what? He is the ultimate heel, and he's playing that role.
He's not a good heel. I
agree, but I think his promos are the same thing every week. Every week, it's the same stuff he complains about.
So arrogant.
Somehow.
Yeah. He's so arrogant.
He is
he's
very
so
arrogant.
He thinks he's better than ever. And for me, that doesn't make you a good heel. That just makes you a jerk.
Yeah, he plays that jerk role very well.
Like I don't care for Paul Heyman. but I can respect Paul Heyman and what he does and how he works. I just think like I can separate Paul Heyman the character from Paul Heyman the person. Like I'm sure when he's in the locker room and the cameras are turned off, he's a nice guy to get along. MJF
Yeah.
always is on and is all
Arrogant.
every interview, every promo, every he thinks his shit don't stink.
Yeah, no,
And it's
I agree. I agree.
Just being more of a casual fan for, especially for the last several years, you guys. I'm getting into. I won't say, but I'm definitely going to get more in it. I've always known though, like Heyman's to the casual viewer for me and for millions of other fans, right? That might tune in every once or twice a month. Heyman's a guy that I really seek out, that I want to see. So like, you know what I mean? So it's like, as a casual fan, you want people like me to get in. That's more money, more views. I think Heyman's a really great person to have in that whole industry. He's great and he's hilarious. I mean, he's a funny guy. You want those characters, man. You want color and entertainment, man. But it's a tough sport. It's the best of both worlds if you get into it. That's why I was saying it to Lou earlier. Like, I think it deserves more respect. It's definitely a real sport. Those guys are getting broken elbows and twisting their neck around and 25-foot drops. Those are like NFL, NHL hits. So the injuries aren't fake. So, but they're smart enough and talented enough to entertain. So it's like it's right up there with the other sports, man. Plus they have like the cinema, the movie telling part.
Yeah.
So you get these Heymans and Cenas. It's like watching a movie. It's really smart. I always loved Heyman. Is there a second or third? Are there a couple other managers? I remember the Bobby the Brain and those guys. Just so smart to have those guys involved. The more you see them on TV, it's like the more people want to tune in.
Yeah.
Who's like the other? Who are the biggest managers right now besides Heyman?
I don't think there is one bigger than Heyman.
There's really
in
not.
reality in any of them. I mean, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. Would you consider Prince Nana a manager in AEW? I forget who he's partnered with that's going for the title shot against Ricochet. Now the name, the guy, I was just watching that promo today before I got on here at work, and now I forget. Prince Nana is a manager. He has this robe that he wears, and Ricochet stole the robe and has it, and now him and I forget the name of the wrestler who
I couldn't help you. I don't want
Nana's attached with AEW. It's AEW, but no. As far as answering your question, Alex, there's no one like Paul Heyman. Paul's the GOAT when it comes to managers, I think, and maybe Paul Bearer. I don't really know how.
No.
Oh yeah. I remember him.
To answer Alex's question a little more directly, there really aren't managers anymore like Paul Heyman.
Okay.
Paul Heyman's the last of his breed.
Yeah.
They just don't have managers like that anymore. Everybody's a superstar.
Yeah.
Everybody works solo anymore. Well, not to say that it's a bad thing, but I agree with certain guys. I think everybody on the roster right now, I can't think of one guy that would benefit from having a manager. Like, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, they were great pairing them up with a manager because they couldn't talk. They were terrible on the mic.
Yes.
Roman was just too stiff. And I don't know if Brock Lesnar has ever put together more than a 3-word sentence in his life. So
Brock, I remember that.
Having a guy like Paul Heyman to do the talking, to absorb and deflect the insults, and let Roman and Brock do their thing in the ring, was absolutely necessary. Now, I think everybody else, Cody can work a mic, CM Punk can work a mic, Rollins can work a mic, Logan can work a mic, LA Knight is great on the mic. Dominic Mysterio is great on the mic. His face alone, he doesn't have to say a word, and he says his face. He can work a mic with just his face. And Finn Balor's pretty good on the mic. Carlito, he's another one that doesn't need to say anything and can say 1,000 words. So I don't really think that there's the necessity of managers like there was when it was just really big strong guys like Lex Luger and Hulk Hogan, guys that couldn't work a mic, and they needed someone out there to talk for them, or certain characters like Undertaker, like before he was like the Ministry Undertaker, before he was the American Badass Undertaker, who needed a manager to preserve the mystique of the character. He's an undead guy, so if he's undead, he shouldn't be speaking much.
Undead.
So Paul Bearer was brilliant. That was a brilliant addition to his character. But overall, I think most of the roster doesn't need a manager like a Teddy Long or a Paul Heyman or Vicky Guerrero.
Eric Bischoff.
Well, nobody needed Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff doesn't need Eric Bischoff.
Back in the day, Bobby the Brain Heenan. You had Queen Elizabeth, more of a kind of, and I'm trying to sound like a jerk, more of like a side, just kind of like, she was a very, there you go. And then, but like, yes, she wasn't really verbal. She was just kind of like there.
The pretty girl.
Bobby the Brain.
There were quite a few.
I just always think it adds some nice spice to the dish when you have like a funny, hilarious, just kind of ridiculous manager floating around ringside. I always like it as a nice add-on to what they bring in the ring. It's just a nice addition.
There's one guy. I can see his face.
Heyman's hilarious, man. I mean, people. I'm confident people that don't even really watch wrestling or, tonight all over America, there might be a couple of people, Googling Paul Heyman highlights. Like, he brings attention to the sport. He's a great guy to have as part of the whole federation.
What? Help me, Brad. Because his name is.
Everyone loves a funny dude, especially in wrestling. It's a good win for everyone.
But he was like a preacher dude. He always had a beet red face.
Oh yeah. I'm starting to get these names back. I'm jogging my memory, man. I'm going to jump right into the rest.
I cannot remember his name. All I'm thinking of is Ravishing Rick Rude, and that's not it.
Well, Ravishing Rick.
With our era, it was Swerve Strickland on AEW. Yeah. I just looked it up, but
Bobby the Brain. Who was he with? He was a manager.
Was it Bobby Heenan?
And he was Bobby the Brain Heenan was like a Heyman 20 years ago. Yeah. Maybe I remember that guy. He was really
40 years ago.
Oh yeah, maybe 30 years. Wow. Time's flying, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he Tony Schiavone's like color guy for WCW for a lot of years?
I think you're right.
After he stopped being a manager, and I think probably the Brain Heenan became like the color guy for Tony Schiavone, who's now with AEW. But Tony was always my favorite. I mean, JR's great too. Tony was always my favorite.
I was a bigger WWE fan than I was than a WCW fan growing up. But my favorite wrestler was Goldberg.
Oh, I agree.
He's fun too.
I read his book. Good guy. I liked him. Right? Ended Bret Hart's career.
I was gonna say
ended Bret Hart's career.
He's not particularly popular in the locker room.
No.
He was notorious for working stiff.
Favorite through the years was Macho Man. He was hilarious. Queen Elizabeth. He was so funny and just jacked. He was really, really great athlete too. The guy was fast and powerful. And then he could just make you laugh your head off 2 seconds later. Macho Man was larger than life. He was a huge, a great personality for that sport. Really popular. Back in the day, he was the man. I mean, him, Hogan, and then you had Andre the Giant too. I loved him. I wasn't as much into Hogan because kind of like he was like the guy everyone else was into. So, but Andre the Giant was so fun to watch too. That's what it needs. It needs a couple, just like every sport. We were talking a couple weeks ago about the NBA. Everyone needs a couple of new faces to identify with. So I think it's good they went over to Cena for the heel. Who are the most popular? Yeah. Who are the most popular big names that are non-heel besides Cody Rhodes? Who's going to be vying for that title?
I think it's Rhodes and Punk right now.
Yeah,
maybe Orton.
I'm still in the mix. Yep.
I could see Orton being. I could see them taking Orton face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Brad, I found him. It was Bruce Pritchard that I was trying to come up with.
So I also have my dog over, and she's stealing my niece's chips. So I had to go take care of that problem.
Gotcha. No, Bruce Pritchard was who I was trying to come up with. But so, honestly, I think heel face is kind of not as important right now as popularity. Like I think you can have a very I think you can have very very popular heels and very popular faces right now. So I don't think the like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, 70s, 80s, 90s, where people still bought into the idea of it being a legitimate sport. And now that people know that now that people are aware that it's a work, I think the mystique of having true bad guys and true good guys has kind of run its course. So I think everybody can kind of work whatever angle they want, and in a weekend you can have a guy be a face, turn heel, and then on Monday turn heel to get a win, and then come Monday they can go right back to being a face. I don't think that I really don't think that it's a big deal like it was back in the day. And it's something that I've lamented over the last few years, that the fact that Brad can tell you in the before times, in the bad times, I would always come on here whenever we talk WWE. I would come on and complain that it was like watching something that I saw 20 years ago performed by guys that were 20 times better.
Yeah.
And
so it dropped off significantly. It dropped off. Now it's back.
And now I think it's really recovered. It's really recovered. I think it was 21. I think it was December of 21. There was, I can't remember if it was WWE or AEW, which brand. I think it was SmackDown. I was watching that episode of SmackDown on a Friday night, and I was like, it was Daniel Bryan, and he was having a match with somebody, and they came out and they interfered, and then somebody came out and interfered, and he went backstage, and it's like, I saw this 20 years ago when it was Rock and Austin, and they were way better at doing this than these guys, than these goofs are.
Yeah.
And whenever Triple H came in, he decided he took it in a new direction, and that's what I was pining for. Was a new direction. Was, let's do something new. Let's reinvent the brand, because that's what made WWE so good and so different from, because every 10 years or so they changed what they were doing. They changed how they were doing things. The stars moved on and new stars came in, and at the tail end of the Vince run, it felt like he was trying to do 1999, but toned down. Everything was muted. Everything was muddled. It was like we're doing the Attitude Era, but we're doing it for a family-friendly audience. Yes. And I really love the fact that Cody said the F word on Saturday night. Just dropped an F-bomb right there in the middle of the ring.
F-bomb.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have saw that. You wouldn't have saw that in the Vince McMahon. Well, and I haven't got a chance, guys. Is watching the Netflix documentary about him, and is it worth watching?
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I don't know.
I mean, Brad, if you're big into it, it's like people are human, so no one's perfect out there. He's definitely. It seems like there's some stuff that worth looking into a little bit. I'm not trying to judge anyone that turned out well. I'm not perfect myself, but like there was a lot of smoke and fire. It's interesting. The headquarters were in Stamford, Connecticut, WWE. So like, I'd have like maybe a childhood friend like would intern there. I had a couple people that I knew that would work there, and then just even like driving to my day job, there's just a random corporate job like nearby. Drive by the buildings overlooking the biggest highway throughout the East Coast. So Like WWE is like a destination when you're even just driving through Connecticut. But
Yeah.
Vince, so like Vince was very, very popular in the area. That's the only reason I was saying that. But it always seemed like there was some like, I remember a few people I just met randomly. I'd never been in the WWE building, but I lived near it, like 15 miles away. So I'd like meet a couple people out if you're at a park or at a bar near the area that have been there, that have met him or that worked there. So it was weird. There was like a little bit of a rumor that he had another side to him. So I mean, and he could really like he was the biggest guy in sports at that for a while, right? He was one of them. So yeah, there's I for most of the Netflix. Lou, did you see the whole thing? I saw parts of it, and it's
it's bad.
He kind of finished on he didn't finish the song on the best note. He didn't finish his run on the best foot. So,
Right.
But I mean, I think it's worth checking out because it just seems like he started doing some things just to try to make more and more money, and then he got away with some other things, and then Stephanie's in it a little bit. It's interesting. It's a pretty good documentary. Have you seen any of it, Brad?
I haven't seen it yet.
I just
But
want to
again,
check it out. It's got some really cool
Okay.
footage. It is worth checking. It's not all negative. It's just going to be like informative for fans. It's maybe worth checking out. And if you don't like it, 5 minutes into it, shut it off. But it's got some cool things for wrestling fans like that could appreciate, like a historical. Like it's cool for fans to kind of get an inside perspective on like who he was and really how he got really into the industry and stuff. It's some cool stuff like that.
Because I was recently watching the comeback, the one about the Red Sox and the Yankees.
Oh yeah,
and it's cool. Yeah. It's cool how they interviewed both sides. Like,
yeah,
they interviewed Red Sox players, but they also interviewed Yankee players too. So that was cool to see, like Joe Torre and Jorge Posada and Mariano Rivera, guys like that they interviewed, and they flip it and interview like, Kevin Millar or guys like that. Or Bill Miller and Tim Wakefield before he passed away. But I mean, and Jason Varitek is a coach now with the Red Sox. I think
it's so cool, man. Yeah, learning about like the past players, man, and a lot of them are at the spring training club, like you said, or you might have, a former Cleveland Cavalier might be helping with free throws, at their facility. Right. They love having former players around because then it builds alumni, it builds fundraising, it brings fans and families back in. It's a big family to them. That's a great move for them.
I was going to mention that, guys. Today I was talking to my friend Dana, who's going to help us get interviews. He's got NBA guys lined up for us. So as soon as I get word, I'm going to go ahead and bring them on.
Yeah.
The coach that we had on, I forget his last name. I know his first name was Paul, but his last name, it starts with an M. I can't pronounce it. But he was on with Alex. You weren't part of the team yet, but me and Lou and Adam interviewed him. And that night, for some off-the-wall reason, our Facebook feed didn't record, and it didn't record to any social media. And I couldn't put the show up. And then he wanted a link because he has a podcast and he has a website. And I sent it to him.
Coach.
I sent the link to him. And he's like, I can't use this. It's empty. And I'm like, no, you're kidding me. I go on there, hit the link, and then there's nothing. It didn't record anything at all. So I've been able to get him back on the show. He'll be coming back on to talk about NBA. I think he currently is running some kind of basketball camp in Vegas. So he's up there on the West Coast right now.
That's a huge hoops presence there, of course, with Summer League. Vegas is popping with hoops. Yeah.
And that's where WrestleMania is. WrestleMania is in Vegas this year.
So then a couple of years back, I know, Lou, I don't know if you were calling as a guest, but that very short time when I was like kind of the second host, but like with another guy doing a show in Connecticut, I had a guy, Scott Fields, is a big international coach who's worked with like Pat Riley, Phil Jackson. He's always been an international coach, but he's like a consultant for teams. So he'll get hired and flown into a city to work for like a week with like someone on free throws. And then he'll never work with that team again. Really cool guy. And I messaged the guy and he's like, yeah, man, I'll hop on. I'll just give him 5 minutes. So
absolutely.
I can try to get him on. I forget who else. He's got Toby. He like worked and like met his family and like spent like a couple of weekends at like it's like helping him develop. Got some really cool stories. Just a really nice guy out in Utah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'm sure he'd give us, I'll see what I can do. But yeah, that sounds great.
I mean, you can interview anybody from any sport. I don't care if it's a sport that we don't even know or cover.
Yeah.
just to bring
Hey,
him on
get
because
some-
you know what?
Of
That
course.
person has fans. That's how Adam
If
found
it's-
me. That's how Adam found me. It's just I was a fan of the same guy he was, and that's how we found each other. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, that.
but you have to bring him back on too. Got to get him
Dude, if I
back
could
on.
get a hold of him,
Yeah.
I
got a buddy-
bring
I got
him
a
back
buddy,
in a heartbeat.
The cooler one, I guess I could maybe try to throw in, never trying to boast, but like a one, just a friend that I do have who ended up himself really getting into cool places and going cool places was all from college in Ohio was Mike Zabo. Really hard working. He played lacrosse with me. He's a teammate. He's older than me. He was a freshman.
Okay.
He was a senior. So he was kind of like a mentor. The guy's like 5'6" and was a captain. He was like a little bowling ball, just like smashing bigger guys. Great athlete. And his dad is really good friends with Coach Sean McDermott in Buffalo. So years ago, Sean McDermott was the head coach first at, I want to say, Philadelphia. So Mike, when he graduated from my school in Ohio Wesleyan, he graduated playing college lacrosse, and he right away, having the dad in the building doesn't hurt. But you don't want to say it's just because of the dad. But he started interning with McDermott, and then the head coach McDermott, now the Bills coach, liked him so much when McDermott was the D coordinator for the Eagles. He brought Mike and his family, my buddy, and made him a scout and brought him to Carolina. And now he's in Buffalo and he's the head of the scouting for the Bills. So he's the guy trying to like decide if what kind of receiver they're going to be drafting. He's like one of the main guys in the room. That funny story with the jacket with Keon Coleman, if like on the TikTok reels, he's like this smaller, really modest guy with glasses. He's sitting there like right next to Keon laughing with him. And he's just a regular dude. And he fly year round. He's in Texas, Ohio, Alabama, just watching high school ball all year. So like leading up to the combine to have a guy like that for 10 minutes, that'd be awesome. And he could talk about the combine because we were talking about like draft picks with him after one of the drafts a couple of years back. And he's like, yeah, we really like this guy. His name is And it's like one of the star players on the Bills now.
Yes.
So it's really cool. He's like helping build the Bills. That would be sick. I'm going to try my hardest to try to get him. That would be awesome. Yeah, and it's just getting out there. Just the worst folks can say is no. Let's get him on.
Or just not answer your message. So been there.
Exactly. No one's gonna get mad for getting asked to be on a podcast. I would hope not. They'd be flattered.
What I've learned, Alex, is it takes 9 no's to get a yes.
Pretty much.
Seriously, it takes 9 no's to get a yes. And then once you get one yes, they come in like groups of yeses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm just a regular dude like everyone else. But it was cool. If you just networking, if you get on the with those coaches, and then maybe just if that goes well, we just maybe get a couple players with their help. Like to just network, it just with good energy, we can.
I wish we could have
more and more bigger people. If we have a good energy and a good team dynamic going, people will want to get on the show. The word will get out.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could have the rugby team back on. They were
That would
fun.
be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy.
That's
Never
the funny
played it.
thing
It's
is,
such a cool sport.
since I've gotten credentials to baseball, softball, and lacrosse, I haven't been able to go to a rugby game because they always have games the same days as those games are going on. Now, it's not that far. It's just right across the campus. So I guess the next time go to a rugby game, then go over to the baseball stadium. But I think I follow the rugby team on Instagram since I got my Facebook account back. I can ask them to come back on. I mean, I've been trying to get
That'd be cool
for a while. We will have Jeff Barnes on before the draft. We always do every year.
Cool.
Yeah,
So obviously,
he's a resident draft guy.
The draft show will be one of those shows where we're all like want to just pass out of like the last pick. Like, can we go to bed now? Can we?
Yeah.
Can we go to bed now, please?
Are we still conscious?
It's real time during the draft.
Yeah, we sit and react to every pick as they get picked. So
cool.
I think the first year, the three of us, I think me, Lou, and Adam were all doing this.
Yeah.
We were all falling asleep.
I actually fell asleep. I fell asleep for like 3 minutes during the Najee Harris pick.
I thought you were consciousness.
But yeah, we react to the draft as they go.
That's our long. That's our long show.
That's more than 2 hours.
Well, if you got Barnes, Barnes seems like the man. You probably it sounds like even tighter than I am. I don't talk to my guy that often. I talk to him a couple times a year. Just
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. We usually
next win by the Bills. He's traveling. He's all the way out now. I haven't seen him in years, but I still just have him on Facebook. I'll message him. But if you have Barnes, it seems like you're awesome with him for the draft, and then maybe I can get my guy Mike Zabo, my friend, just to come on for 10 minutes, like maybe in the next couple of weeks. So like kind of leading up to the draft. So that way we'll double off 2 guys.
I never have a problem having a guest on.
You do that.
When I approach someone to be a guest on your show, I tell them about the show. I tell them they tell them who I am. I tell them that we have a little podcast we do on Thursday nights, 8 to 10 East Coast time. If you have 10 or 15 minutes that we could have, we'd love to have you on. And then, because I don't want to ask somebody for 5 minutes, because that's a waste of their time. Mm-hmm. It's a waste of our time. I think 15 minutes. We can ask. Everybody gets 2 or 3. Everybody gets 2 or 3 questions. We let them plug whatever they might be plugging. You know, like a book or a charity that they might be working on.
Yeah, that's the key. Yep.
And then if they want to hang out, if they want to give us more than 15, then we'll take 20, 50. Like when we have Jeff on, he's here for the full 2 hours. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because there's so much to talk about when it comes to. But I reached out to Jim Branson. He used to be the play-by-play guy for the Wolverines. He just retired a couple of years ago. So I sent him a message on Facebook right before the season. Was hey, I explained who I was, asked him, he was like, he messaged me back the next morning, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to come on. And so figured 15 minutes came. It was 8:15. Then it was 8:30. It was 8:45. He stayed for like 45 minutes and just chit-chatted with us about.
People love the chat, man. They're helping you. It's good. They get to. They're not trying to boat, but like people do tend to be. They like to tell a couple stories. People love jumping on a podcast if they're being shown more respectful guys. So that'd be fun. I use like 10 or maybe 15 and just kind of gauge it. But like you said,
I always ask for 15. I always ask for 15 because then it's not a waste of their time. It's not a waste of our time. It's a standard segment. Like every professional show does 15. Like usually does a 15-minute interview, and then at the 15-minute mark if we're still talking, and then we'll check in like at the 20-minute mark. Is there anything else? And Brad does that pretty much. And then if they say, yeah, I'll stay for another 10, 15 minutes, then we check again at the 15-minute mark. And if they're like, yeah, no, I ain't got anything going on. I can hang out as long as you want. Then we'll let them stay until they want to get off. So.
Yeah. I'll just say the 10 to get them in the door. And then once they're on and they're having fun, they don't even look at the clock. I just leave kind of open-ended. And they're just, like you said, if people are having fun, they're not looking at their watch. So it's if we can get them in, they're all having fun. It's just get their foot in the door, and then hey man, they're all humans. We're all talking sports. Everyone's equal, so it's like one big party. And that'll also having 2 guys for the draft would be great. I mean, draft's gonna be big coming up. What do you guys think about like any of the free agent moves coming up so far?
I haven't really noticed any big news yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
I saw that Crosby
Max Crosby signing a contract.
I love him.
With the Raiders.
He's staying.
Yes.
Once Pete Carroll got there, remember he's 73. He's not moving Crosby. He's keeping his veterans. They're not rebuilding. So, like once Pete got there, I'm sure that was part of the agreement to get Pete Carroll the coach to keep Crosby because that guy's he's like a top 10 player in the league, maybe. Well, he's a Hall of Fame defender, I would say. I mean,
he's a top 10 defensive lineman.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. I was hoping he'd go to your team, Adam, just to see how dangerous, how lethal that would be with Hutchinson. But
well, now that he's off the market, I think we need to push all in for Garrett.
Yeah.
Me and Alex were talking about that the other night. And I normally would be against mortgaging the farm for one guy.
Yeah.
But Myles Garrett strikes me as one of the few guys in the league with a team that we have, with the skilled players that we have, and the fact that I think we could do it without having to give up any players, I'd be willing to push all my chips to the center
Yeah.
and see if Cleveland falls.
Yeah. You know, since I
But
started watching sports, the more about thinking about more like how to acquire. Oh man, that player would look incredible as you know. You name what team you want him on. What's it going to take?
yeah,
You got to think about it. You know, because you know they're going to ask for a lot because they know that you really want that player. They're not going to just hand him over. So they're going, oh, if you want Crosby, how about 3 number 1? The thing is, for a Garrett or a Crosby, every draft, none of the draft picks are guaranteed to work out. So you might keep 3 draft picks, and maybe one of them becomes half as good as Max Crosby. If you can, go get Max Crosby. If you can, just get a Myles Garrett. Give him 3 or 4 picks because it's a crapshoot, and you know you're getting a Hall of Famer. It's a no-brainer. Just do whatever you got to take because you could spend 2 decades trying to get a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby. You know what I mean? If you have the shot, you got to give up something to get him. You're going to have to give up a lot. I think it's worth it because it's rare you can get a player like that. They're both Crosby's kind of still young. Garrett's 29. That's 5 years left, maybe. He seems like a real physical freak, so I don't think he's retiring soon. So, yeah, I mean, I've always been Adam. You seem like you're the same way too. If a player's like elite, you're not going to really lose sleep over giving up draft picks.
No,
Elite,
depending on where. Well,
makers.
I think that depends on where your team's at too.
Yeah.
And with as close as I think Detroit is, I think we can afford to give up 2 first-round picks in the next 3 years.
I agree.
I think I don't think when we're with drafting so low in the draft, and Brad can talk about that with his Patriots. You know how many years they drafted in the bottom of the first round.
That's right.
I think we're NFC Super Bowl contenders again next year, barring any major injuries. And of course, the other thing that is a little bit different from the last 2 years is the fact that both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson have moved on, and so there's going to be some new blood in the at the coordinator spots and in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So, I don't see it being that big of a deal. Like, I think about some of the bad big trades that were made for one guy. Like, when the Cowboys sent Herschel Walker to the Vikings.
For about 40 draft picks. I remember that. Or Mike Ditka walking out with the roster hair in the press conference with Ricky Jackson. He moved like Ricky Williams. He moved like I think he moved. You guys remember? It was like a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and like next year's third, fourth, fifth, sixth. It was like 9 picks. You gotta be careful. You don't want to get totally out of control and get pillaged, but you got to give to get. You got to give to get, or else the other team is going to hang up the phone. They're not just handing over a Hall of Fame player. So like you said, the Lions are ready to win now. So yeah, I'd say go for it now because now is the window. The window is wide open. You got to capitalize right now the next couple of years.
Well, and what I'm saying about compared to those 2 trades, right?
Yeah.
The Vikings and the Saints weren't win now teams.
No, totally different. Yeah,
if they were win now teams, they were 1 player away. Yeah, absolutely. If Ricky Waters and Herschel Walker,
Ricky Williams, Herschel Walker. Yep.
And if those were the pieces, if all the Vikings and the Saints were missing were a running back, then I would 100% say great, good deal. Especially if we win a chip in the next 2 or 3 years. As a fan, I wouldn't have a problem with it. The problem is neither one of those teams were win now ready. And if you're not a win now ready team in the NFL, you need to be banking draft picks. You need to be getting draft picks so that you can have.
So important because you get 53 guys. You don't have 5 starters. You got 22 starters, not NBA 5. You need awesome collegiate players up and down your roster. You're not going to even make the playoffs with 5 or 6 really good players. You need like you guys know you need 2 good receivers. You need a good offensive line. Rewatch the Super Bowl. I mean that was a huge difference. And for years,
Mhm.
quietly, when it was never sexy, the Eagles are always invested in the lines. And the Lions, they're not the only team doing it, but it's just so important. So yeah, I mean, the Lions are great in other areas. So they're probably just
We're
as talented,
balanced.
maybe just as talented as the Eagles roster. I'd go get Myles Garrett because they're right close. They're so close to the Super Bowl right now. The Lions are right there.
Especially looking at what's available in the draft.
Yeah,
You know,
no sure
I
thing,
think
really.
that's the other
With drafting as low as we are,
Yeah.
and when it comes to being able to continue, it's like it's retooling. When you're gonna have guys that are gonna move on, age out.
Yeah.
In the next three, I don't really want to spend. I don't really want to spend like 5 picks, like 5 years worth of picks. But the next 2 years, I think we can afford to send a first this year, a first next year, this year's first, this year's second, next year's first, next year's third to Cleveland for Myles Garrett in the fourth. If we can,
they can do it.
Figure out the money. If we can figure out the money, that's the big thing. After that, I'm if we can figure out the money, I'm game to make the deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like anything in life. You don't want to take too much of a risk, but like when you have such a rare talent, again, those are two of the best defensive ends. I mean, I've been watching for a long time, I love defense. I've always much more than offense for whatever reason. So I'm like watching that D line. Like I love sacks, I love hits. And I mean, you're not going to see two players like that. You know that, like it's so rare. Those guys are they're just like better than 99% of the guys on every time you turn on the TV. They're making plays. If you add a guy like that, it just puts your team over the top. And Hutchinson is a Hall of Fame talent too. I mean, those are like 2 Hall of Famers on a D line. That's serious business.
And the nice thing about it too is you can split snaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can reduce the workload
Mm-hmm.
of a guy. They don't have to go out on every snap. You don't necessarily have to have them both on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
Brad,
what do you want? No, you're right, Adam. It's just I think they'll make a move soon.
Yeah.
Over here, I mean, the Eagles are just kind of like quietly. They're just trying to re-sign a couple of guys right now. Lou, what are you looking for, or Brad? Like Cowboys, Patriots. I mean, Adam, you're looking for D-line help. Same with me.
Yeah.
And then Lou and Brad, what do you guys like? Lou, what kind of player are you looking for, like most of all in the draft? What kind of talent? What kind of position maybe? What are you looking at?
Yeah, speaking of the Jets, I don't think they just go for the quarterback. I mean, because we need a total overhaul. We need a running back. We need a safety. We need a tight end. We need a better cheerleading staff. We need better broadcasters. No, I'm not just kidding with that. But just little thing. I mean, we really want a clean house here. So
better long snapper is crucial.
Yeah, because we need more than just a quarterback. That's the problem with the Jets. They always try to go for the top pick in the draft or the top quarterback, and that's where they make their mistake. They have to look at other areas too. Because our offense is awful. So we really have to, look at other areas, the safeties, the tight ends, the wide receivers.
Yeah.
That's really up too.
Yeah, man, and that's real quick. I mean, that's got to be tough for a team like the Jets because they have some talent, and it's like they desperately need a quarterback, but we all know there's not like an Andrew Luck. There's not a sure shot quarterback. Well, so like, do you take a QB like a Shedeur Sanders, and then next year he stinks, and then you're still in the basement without a quarterback? Like it's risky. You don't want to take a quarterback just because you need one. You got to take the right one, not just one. So like, you guys think the Jets should even go to Sanders? Brad, do you think Adam? I haven't scouted the quarterbacks as much, and I haven't watched as much college football as you two. Like, seeing from last year, do you guys love Cam Ward or Sanders? Or are you more just kind of like wait and see? No.
I go O-line.
Brad, do you really like? Do you like Sanders? I meant to ask you this before. Like, I was reading about quarterbacks today. There just doesn't seem like there's a Peyton Manning or like a sure shot day one starter. So if I'm picking in the top 5, even if I need a quarterback, I'm not going to just, I need one, so I'm going to take one. If it's like that, I'm probably taking an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. They're just so important. Brad, do you think Sanders or Ward are going to be like a sure thing?
I would say probably if I had to choose between the two of them, I'd say Ward. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing with Shador. Wherever Shador goes, you're going to have to worry about Dion. Plain and simple.
That's right. Drama.
And no matter what you do, that's extra drama that as a
Mhm.
team or a franchise, you don't need. And who knows if let's say he gets drafted, I don't know, number 1 or number 2 or somewhere. How do you know in a few years that Dion goes, okay, I want that job because I want to coach my son again, like I did in Colorado. So that's what I'm getting at. You're going to have the pressure of Dion looming over your head because, again, if you look at Shador, nothing against him, the kid's a talent. He can't throw the ball, man. He can't. He has an issue with throwing the ball. Yeah, he can run, and that's fantastic. But when it comes to pressure throws, he's just not accurate at all. He's not an accurate quarterback.
No.
So Cam Ward would be more of an answer, but I don't think either one of them really are a starter in the NFL. I just don't see it. I don't think it's a quarterback class this year. He's more of an offensive lineman draft, offensive lineman, defensive lineman stuff.
Tight end.
It's like when you're not sure on something, just like I know it's like boring. It's never gonna. Oh my God, an offensive lineman. But like if I'm not sure, I'm taking a 6'7" guy that can just
6'7"
neutralize the opponent. I'm gonna protect. I'm gonna keep my quarterback healthy. I'm gonna have massive holes for a running back, and I'm gonna have my quarterback's gonna have 10 seconds to find a wide receiver. I mean, if you got a great line, it just absolutely unlocks your offense to make great plays. And like you saw with the Jets, if you just bring in a quarterback with no line, the guy's going to get murdered. So it's like it's a tough pick. You want to get the quarterback, but you don't want to take the right one just to get one. I don't know. I wouldn't touch either one if I was a GM. I'm not really sold on Sanders or the Miami kid. I'm just not.
Well, I like what Brad said. They're the answer to a question, but that question is an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. If time is the question, if you want like a Melrose Place or a comedy or a drama movie,
I think the question that they're the answer to is put the fries in the bag, son.
Yes. Yeah, and I've seen him interviewed. I've seen him interviewed. He's got some flair to him. I don't want a guy who's insecure. I like a little cockiness if I'm drafting someone personally. Because if you're weak, you're not going to be a star player, and your team's not going to be in the playoffs. The NFL's full of tough guys. Tough guys don't last. So like I like that he's tough. He seems like he can take a hit, but that drama just because it's a package deal. He's attached to his dad, so it's like unfortunately for him, I'm not going to take him. And then the Miami guy seemed like more unproven. That was just my 2 cents.
That was my problem with him.
I didn't see a lot out of it. So if I'm not sold, and it's like a top 5 pick, who knows? You might not be able to pick at the top of the draft for the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not wasting a pick. You can't waste a top 10 pick. So it's just for me, it's too risky. I'll go get a free agent for a year. And then apparently, guys, it isn't like or the Manning guy. The next QB class next year is far superior. Wait a year.
Yeah, Arch Manning.
Wait a year.
That he looks like he's going to be a star. Mm-hmm. No, but I like what I think with Cam Ward and Shador Sanders. I haven't seen enough to justify a top 5 pick. I think I wouldn't even be willing. If I had a quarterback who is an aging veteran, somebody that maybe Pittsburgh with, like if they re-sign Russ to another 1-year deal, and I had a 4th round pick or a late 3rd round pick, kind of like a Russell, like Russ himself, where where I didn't have he could come in and sit for a year or 2 and wait and learn and study the playbook every day and every night, and look at Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, a couple of those guys that Tom Brady, they were able. They didn't have that you've got to start right now pressure. There was no expectations on them.
Yeah.
When Russ gets the gig in Seattle, it's because he was a better player than Matt Flynn. He won the job and he earned the right to start. But there was no pressure on him from day one to be a starter. You have to be a starter right now.
You need pressure.
Expect you to start.
Yeah. You need competition. Absolutely. It brings out the best in everyone. It brings out the best.
I'm saying that there was no competition.
Oh yeah. No, and I'm saying that's lacking. It shouldn't be that way. You always want to have competition. Because if you just hand someone if you want to just hand someone a job and give them the job, they're not going to be working their hardest. I don't think as a rookie.
I don't know because I forget who it was that said it.
That are on that playing time. There's a lot of good players in the league that are dying for a spot. So for a kid to just walk in and act like he owns the joint,
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL is not.
There's one
Maybe a couple teams if you're like the Browns, but like if you're a champion, if you're a playoff team, it's to have a rookie start right away. They got to be ready. That maybe I should just say it that way, where it's like a senior, like a DeJean or like a the awesome lineman from the Lions, like a Sewell. Where the guy can just start right away. That's a legit top 5 pick. I mean, that's much more valuable than a quarterback who you're not sure about. That guy's like Sewell is like an absolute tower. He's like 6'7" lineman for the next 10 years. I mean, protecting Goff, absolutely crucial. Just like Harbaugh, his first pick ever was Joe Alt, an offensive tackle. Not sexy at all.
I think the problem when you have, I can't remember who said it. We was talking about the Niners
build that line out and then get the small fast guys. I've always thought. I mean, get both at the same time, obviously, if you can. But if you're not sure, you can't go wrong with just taking a big guy that'll just block or a guy who will get to the quarterback. Right? We've all said that. Like O-line or pass rusher.
But I can't remember who said it back in the 80s. But he was talking about the Niners when they had Montana and Young, and he said, when you have 2 starting quarterbacks, you have no starting quarterbacks.
Oh,
and
I heard that. Yeah.
I think the problem with taking a young guy number 1 overall is if you do bring in a veteran, like look at the Falcons last year when Kirk Cousins struggled. Even though they were like 5-7. Or 5-6 and could have played played themselves into the playoffs. The fans, the media, everybody wanted them to go to Michael Penix, and of course they went to Michael Penix and missed the playoffs. And now you have Kirk Cousins on your roster for another year at $140 million or whatever, and no place for him to play. So I think if there isn't a sexy receiver that's going to be able to make plays, go offensive line, go tight end, go D line.
Yeah.
Make the safe pick. Get me a 6'3", 6'4", 300, 330, guy that's going to be able that can move laterally and can slide protect and keep my quarterback upright. Because I think that, Bryce Young is a much better quarterback when he can survey the field. When he has time to throw. I don't care how bad unless your receivers are drops balls McGee. You're much better off with a defensive or with an offensive lineman that can block and even if we have to tailor our offense into something more akin to a West Coast style dink and dunk. We're not going to bomb the ball, but we're going to have play 70-yard drives that are methodical. Mm-hmm. And Bryce is going to throw everything underneath. And we're going to have 3 or 4 sure-handed guys that are just going to make the catch. They're not going to wow you. They're not going to blow you off the line. But he's going to throw for 275 and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions because he wasn't pressured. He was able to sit back there, scan the field, find the open man. Yeah, it was an 8-yard reception, but we had 6 of those, and we moved the ball 40 yards, and we were able to kick a field goal. We were able to get points. And we can build a team that plays smart offensive football and shut down defense. And we can win a lot of games 17-13.
Yeah. And it's just a good example was like where a team really just was like desperate for a QB. Like, I don't know if this is the guy. We need someone. I mean, terrible mistake that set them back almost a decade because their cap is still ruined. They couldn't even re-sign Barkley because Daniel Jones, perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me?
That's
The guy's running and falling down without anyone within 10 yards of him out of powerhouse Duke. You're going to get a quarterback out of Duke? Nothing against Duke. Not a football factory. Let's go. Like, look at another school. I mean, no competition in college. And the guy, I mean, to take that guy and then because of the contracts now, you know that, I mean, the guaranteed money, they're in cap hell, and he's not even on the Giants anymore. So it's like take
He's in Minnesota.
take a Shedeur Sanders if you're not sure. If it doesn't work out, it's really you can't just get rid of him in a month. You're like stuck with him for half a decade. It's just such an important decision. Such an important decision on draft day. You got to really love the guy. You got to love the guy to take him that high.
Well, I will say this: the nice thing about drafting a quarterback, is that you don't have to. That they have the rookie cap, so they're not.
True. That's true. Yeah, you're right.
You're not giving up $47 billion over the course of 3 years for a guy to flame out. Like,
that's true. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for correcting me. The Giants actually like anteed up and re-upped him, and
that was the mistake.
Bad, and then remember they somehow, I think they won 9 games and like walked into the playoffs barely and beat a really bad team, and then the Giants are back, and they gave him a ton of money after like 3 good hours of playing quarterback. It was like, what are you doing? And so that's what. And then Hard Knocks. They had like $100 to offer Barkley, and he left. And then Jones is gone. No one's in the building now. So it's like, geez. Brad, what do you? I saw the Seahawks before. Not to like keep asking questions, but I wrote down a couple names. Did you guys see it? Metcalf. I was just reading it before. DK Metcalf maybe to the Patriots.
That'd be great.
What do you think? What do you think? And then on draft day, what do you think? Because you're picking right at the top. What do you want?
Well, the Patriots have obviously a lot of questions. They need wide receivers. I think that's one of the reasons why Tom went to Tampa Bay, is the lack of them giving him weapons. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only long range weapon he had was Randy Moss, and that was at the end of Randy's career. That wasn't Randy in prime. He was in prime when he was in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. But they've never really gone that route. Now we have a new head coach, obviously. Gerard Mayo has 1 year and gone, and it is what it is. I mean, but I mean, if Metcalf does come to New England, obviously the wide receiver thing would be, you'd go and draft maybe a lineman, because again, just like with a lot of young teams, and look what happened, like Adam mentioned Bryce Young earlier, when he got benched, they kind of fixed the offensive line to a certain extent. He goes back after and looks like he was when he was at Alabama. So that's what we're looking to do. And if you can find, like the Lions have Penny Sewell here in Tampa, we have Tristan Wirfs. If you can find diamonds in the rough like that, and you go, you know what, I got a first overall pick, that's who you pick first, because those are the guys you can build your offensive line and your franchise around, protecting your quarterback, whoever it is, and it would be great. I don't know if that's going to happen. I've heard many times. I mean, it's happened like that, but I don't know. I mean, that would be great. But again, it depends on who the Pats get free agency, which I believe starts next week. I think is when free agency begins. The new calendar year for the NFL starts.
I'm pretty sure the Pats have a good amount of money. Like you said, Vrabel's like, he's a former Pat, and he's in town. Everyone's excited. They got a lot of money in their bank account. Like, dude, and that's a proud team. You know more than me, Brad, about them. Like, they're itching to get back to being good. I would be surprised if they didn't like just start signing really good players. I think they might add 4 or 5 studs, because apparently they have the money. I mean, now they have a young quarterback and a good coach. That's a pretty desirable place. There's a list of I saw it on online earlier. There's a bunch of good receivers that are out there, including Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, got DeAndre Hopkins. There's 10 or 12 receivers that have made Pro Bowls. If I'm the Patriots, man, I'm adding weapons for Drake May. He's exciting.
Well, I think D Hop's going to hang it up. I think he retired.
You think so?
That's what I heard. I could be totally wrong, guys,
Thank
but I
God.
thought that's what I heard.
He
You
was,
That
could.
he was done after the Super Bowl.
yeah, it was
Um,
interesting. He looked so good when Chiefs first got him. He was like he was a college sophomore. He found his legs, and then near the end, I mean, the Super Bowl is invisible. So I don't know if he even gets offered from someone. He kind of just fizzled out. I don't know. What do you guys think about the Patriots? I think they can get back on track quicker. The Patriots. I was thinking about them earlier today. My buddy from back home is a big Pats fan too, Brad, and he's like, he had sent me the Metcalf thing. So I was thinking out loud. I'm like, I don't think they're that far because they have a good defense. They have, if you get the line in the draft and then you add a Metcalf, just looking at the roster, like you don't have any like huge desperate needs because now you have a young quarterback, you got a good running back, and you got good receiver. I mean, they're maybe wild card next year. Is that too confident? You think they're a couple years away?
I mean, if they get Metcalf and they can get some good draft picks, I would say yes because they play. I mean, outside of no offense to Lou, outside of the Jets, the Bills are good. The Bills aren't going away. Hands down, they're not going away. And Miami's kind of, you don't know which way they're going to go. I can think it depends on Tua and company in Miami, but they're close. I would have to say if with the two teams that I follow, the Bucks are closer than I think New England is right now. Now, again, depending on who they get free agency and who they draft, it could be a different story come August and September when the season starts. I think the Bucks, they need to get defense. They got to get linebackers and they got to get pass rushers. I've heard Khalil Mack's name pop up, but why would you want to pay a guy who's probably on the end of his career, a lot of money?
Yeah.
Obviously the biggest free agent out there was Crosby, and
yes,
who was the other big defensive
just got
player
Joey Bosa, Harbaugh's guys.
Joey Bosa is not, but then again,
just
he's on the end of his career too. So
yeah, he's got just a ton of injuries. He's risky. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, man. These teams because you just gotta. It's now with the cap numbers. One false move, even on draft day, just sets you back. You really got to be careful about who you target. So it's like you got all that money, but you don't want to just give it to the wrong people. You got all these picks, you don't want to pick the wrong people. So I don't know. I think the Patriots can get them back there. I still think the Jets are literally a quarterback away. I think they can turn it around.
Yeah,
but they literally, Lou, I'm sorry, just like Brad, like we all watch the same thing. Like whenever there's a fumble or just a comical play or a quarterback butt fumbling, like a guy fumbling because he hit someone's butt, his own teammate, like it only happens to the Jets. So I don't know how they turn it around. They almost seem like they're just like, I hate the word cursed, but it's like, dude, they just can't catch a break. Or they'll sign someone like Rodgers, and oh my God, we're finally going to be good again. And he runs out of the tunnel with a flag, and he's injured a minute later. It's like, dude, I mean,
yeah, maybe we
hopefully
can
they can
start retirement. Yeah,
hopefully they can start catching some breaks out there.
Well, if we take Mark Sanchez out of retirement, maybe. Nah,
I don't know if that's the way to turn things around, but all the best to the Sanchez. But you're not welcome to suit up if I'm a Jets personnel person. But you can come and visit, Mark, and sit on the sideline.
Eat another hot dog.
Plus one if you'd like, preferably
Yeah.
good look. Oh yeah, that was another highlight only a Jets quarterback would do. Yeah, eating a hot dog during the game. Okay. So something in the water in that facility.
Got to keep your energy up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Need those carbs.
Yes.
I was sorry to fire those up, guys. I just had a couple just written down, and I was like, "Oh, how about Metcalf?"
No problem.
It's going to be interesting, man. There's a lot of moves to be made, and teams can make a big leap. We see it all the time, man. A couple good draft picks, you could win 5 or 6 more games. You could win 5 or 6 more games that year. Right away, you could be good. Look at Jaden Daniels.
Well, I think the biggest thing is 2 things: is good coaching and staying healthy. I think
stay healthy, of course.
I think the biggest thing, the thing that makes the biggest difference in the NFL in a given year is staying healthy and good coaching.
Yes.
And you look at the teams that win the Super Bowl year in and year out, they're the healthiest teams and they have the best head coach. They have coaches that don't put up with nonsense. And when it comes to, I think, it's what Bill Belichick was saying, because they asked him about the Kansas City Chiefs right before the Super Bowl, and they asked him if he thought they got calls, and he was like, no, it's not so much that they get calls, it's they just don't make dumb mistakes. They don't false start. They don't hold. They don't have procedural penalties. They're always lined up where they're supposed to be. They're um and they don't have the post whistle penalties. They don't have pre-whistle, post whistle penalties. And when you take away those penalties, everything else is something that you can clean up with tape. Because there was a football mistake was made. There's a football mistake was made. And we can fix that in post. We can fix that in the video room on Monday. And you look at the Eagles and the discord that was there in the first part of the season, and Alex can tell you that he wanted Sirianni gone, and now I'm sure he's glad he's not the owner of the Eagles, because he wanted Sirianni gone.
I really did. And I didn't. I posted silly stuff again. But like I speak my mind sometimes too. But yeah, I posted and then I had to teach myself a lesson. I'm trying to get more tame, and that's helped me surprisingly. But like I won't remove it. But yeah, it's on my whatever. Maybe 2 people read it if I'm lucky. But yeah, it's still on my page. Like early on,
Yeah.
like that weekend, I was like, I want him gone immediately. And then as they're getting towards the Super Bowl, I'm like, oh God, that's not aging well. But
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he almost got fired last year twice. They got their butts kicked in Tampa. That was a debacle. Jason Kelsey, their proud leader, was crying. They were fighting. They were switching defensive coordinators during games. They were switching play callers like every quarter. Like, hey, why don't you try calling the plays? It was awful. So yeah, I wanted him gone, dude. I'm so shocked that they maintained that he was still in the building. They just kept him around. They didn't give up on him. But
and now they're Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
I don't know. I still don't know how he's.
Second time.
Hate to sound like Taco or like whatever. He's done incredible. He's done a great job, man. I'm happy he's there. But like I said to a friend, that like during the game, like I talked to one person who's an Eagle fan during it, and you said you wanted it. I'm like, I know. I'm like, you know what? He really does though. He's not going to be a Belichick ever, or a Reed or
never
a
been so happy to be wrong.
A Holmgren or a Lombardi. He's just like he's a good like people person, and the players love him. And it sounds quite that's so important because he has 2 good assistants that were calling the right plays. So he's literally not babysitting, but he's literally just making sure everyone's getting along, making sure the coaches and the players are good, making sure everyone's prepared. And he's just kind of like there for everyone. It's unique. He's not a typical. He's really and that's another thing. The last couple of years, he was calling those plays. He was saying, "No, we're going for it on 4th down." He stopped all the BS and just kind of quieted down. So
yeah,
good on him.
I think
everyone can change. And I mean, he, from almost getting fired like 3 or 4 times to Super Bowl, it's pretty crazy. Good for him.
They've never been so happy to be wrong in your life.
But yeah, so like when I see him still though, I'm like, yeah, he's good job. He really upset me so many times. So I'm like, I just say like the less I see of him, or like on TV, the better. Let the players and let his coordinators handle things. Nick, you can run around back and forth and clap, and then the other guys will handle the business.
And next year he might get fired again.
So normally I'd want a great coach doing everything everywhere. Nick, it's like you could just kind of less is better with him. Let the other people kind of delegate the activities to us.
And
So keep him around, but yeah, he just I don't know. I wish they could have gotten Belichick or whatever to pipe dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got North Carolina.
You guys think he's wrong for that, or you think he goes back to the NFL, or you think he's going to stay there for several years?
2 years. I give it 2 years.
It's interesting, man.
They're in Hard Knocks this year. No NFL team
Oh,
visits.
yeah.
It's North
Uh-huh.
Carolina.
Wow.
They're doing college this
Interesting.
year. Yep. They're doing
Well,
college this
yeah.
year.
Like so many things. Like I used to be like, oh, I can't stand him. He's and then now I'm like getting older. I'm like, yeah, he's just a heck of a coach, and I respect him so much. You just at the end of the day, or else you just those guys are working so hard. Lou, I've said to you before. I'm not being corny, but I've said it to you before. Like, of course, I don't like the Cowboys, but like, CeeDee Lamb makes a play. I'm like, that's incredible. I'll like post it or like it. Like, I really don't. These guys work hard, man. So, I mean, to me, it's like it's well worth respecting greatness, no matter who they play for. Because I'd like them on my team. So how am I going to slam them if I wish they were on my team? That's no way of saying it.
And that's where we differ, because I'll never like an Ohio State player.
Well, Michigan, Ohio State. That's like
That's a rivalry.
that's like yeah. It really is like out there.
It really is, bro.
You lived there.
Really...
I stayed there for 4 years next door in Ohio, and like everyone and their grandma was walking around in jerseys. Like they knew the grandmas knew stats like we do. Like they breathe it out there. So it's fun.
Ooh. But no,
Michigan's got to stop them, man. They talk about owing a team. They got a big time revenge coming up for them. They got to come back. I mean, what do you think? What do you think Michigan overall to maintain that, Adam? Because Day saved his job, so now he thinks he's going to have Michigan's number again. What do you think of Michigan? What do you think of play? How do you think it plays out? Apparently, Michigan added a stud quarterback.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm not in love with this year's Michigan team.
no.
Okay.
I think I'm interested to see who's going to get the starting job coming out of camp.
Well,
I don't know if it's going to be Jaden Daniels or if it's going to be Bryce Young. I think. Do you go with the guy that's been in the system for the last couple of years, or do you go with the fresh face? I want to see the spring game in a couple of weeks. I think it's the 25th of April. That's what I'm most interested to see is the spring game. I want to see our defense against our number one, see where we're at, and then I'll have a better idea of what. Because we lost so many pieces on the defensive side, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. Now we got a couple kids coming in behind them that are pretty good, but and you know what I will say, you know, you're talking about wanting Sirianni gone, and you know, I wanted Wink Martindale gone after week 6, after the shellacking we took from Oregon.
Nobody be the game show host.
And I will give him. I will stand with Martindale because he learned.
That's the key. I learned to give people a second chance because I've been given second chances. So it's like I've learned about Sirianni. Like,
I'm not Jets coach. Okay.
It's just you know what I'm saying, Adam. Like he was just being such a dick, and because the thing was they were so talented, he was like literally hurting them. He wasn't even just like staying neutral or staying out of the way. He was like being the center of attention with refs yelling at opposing fans, and they're like losing they're losing like last minute games that they were leading the whole game, and he's screaming at people. I was like, get this guy away from the team. To me he was that bad. But then he totally I bet the owner came to him and said, look, if you don't cut it out, I'm going to fire you immediately. Because he must have gotten a stern talking to, because he totally changed his personality immediately.
Well, I think
about two different coaches almost, two different people now. He's different.
I think you can do things in the moment,
and
be carrying on, and acting like a dumbass, and 10 minutes later you regret what you did.
Sure.
And you sit down and you think about it, and you when you have some time for self-reflection, and you realize that you're being an ass.
Yeah.
You can have a chance to reflect on what has happened, and maybe say an apology, and it is something that I talk about all the time, and I'll talk about it until I'm long dead and gone, and then I'll haunt you from the grave about it. But mental health, getting checked out, getting evaluated,
yeah, sure,
even if it's just, maybe you don't need, you don't necessarily need drugs. You don't necessarily need a 12-step program. You don't need, but having somebody that you can talk to in
Yep.
a clinical setting where it's all private
Let it out.
and it's all confidential. It's not
Mhm.
going to anybody else. It's not
That's what
going
he
to the
did,
media.
You did
It's
that
not going
apparently.
to it's not going to the team. It's not going to the media. Nobody has to know about it. You can do it privately. You can get on BetterHelp or one or the other sites online, put your information in, and you can find a licensed therapist or psychologist, whatever you might need, and talk to them, for however long you need. Maybe you only need a 5-minute consultation. Hey, this is what's going on. These are my feelings. I'm upset. I'm always angry. I react. I overreact. What can we do to make it better? And they can give you a plan to help you out. And I'm not saying Sirianni did or didn't do that. All I'm saying is that, if you see a change in attitude, it's because he talked to somebody. He got with the right people. And I think that
Mhm.
certainly is everybody needs to do that. Not just men, but women
yeah.
and children. Get somebody that you can talk to and be honest with about everything you're feeling, you're dealing with. And they can, and it doesn't necessarily have to be medical intervention. You may not need drugs. You may need drugs. And if you need drugs, take your drugs.
Yeah.
And
Well, not just any
and
kind.
and
That is
and
true. The right ones.
medically
No, you're
prescribed
right,
drugs
Ad.
by a licensed medical professional. You
You're right,
don't need
Ad.
Bubba in his trailer park giving you drugs.
No. You don't need like meth or
Um,
something dirty, but something that's gonna just kind of balance you out and maybe chill you. It's just I would never want to use the drug implicate that, but like we saw him. He was like he was
he
ready
was
to
out of
scream.
control.
He was ready to like scream, clap, and cry every other play. And then
Yeah.
what that does, and if you're on a middle school or high school team that can mess people up, to the pros, they don't want that because it distracts the players. And then they're thinking it's like if you're at a job and the boss sucks or the teacher stinks. If you see a bad example there, if the coach is going crazy, it totally messes the players up. And then they're like, what is going on? They need like a calm, confident person in control. And so he totally he took like a permanent chill pill. And I think you're onto something. I think he did what you talked about. Because he's like a new man. And it happened like during the season. He was in the building the whole time and he just started changing. Like he didn't take a leave and he didn't go away anywhere. They didn't suspend him. He just showed up the next day a new person. It was during like a week or two time, he just changed.
And it can happen. It can happen that fast when you have somebody that you can trust and you can vent to, and they can take the punishment. They can take the screaming, the yelling, the carrying on, the being an asshole, because that's what they're there for. That's their job. Their job.
It's their job to be a
is their job is to listen to you be a moron. Just be stupid. You can confess your deepest, darkest secrets to them, and you can know that it's not leaving the building. They're not going to go tell the media.
That's the most successful. The most successful lawyers or doctors or physicians or musicians or athletes. You see therapists, politicians. You can name a profession, and some of the most successful people in the world go to see it. It's being honest, and then it's getting rid of stuff that hurts you or angers you. Because if you don't deal with it, then you take it out on other people. Like let's say Sirianni, something happened with the love of his life. Or nothing did, but like if something personal in his life happens, then he's driving to the stadium 2 hours later. He's on national TV, upset, and he's screaming at the refs because of what happened last night. So like something was going on. So yeah, seeking help like that, seeking out help and being able to quietly, privately talk to someone could have just saved his job and gotten him a Super Bowl ring. It's pretty awesome. I mean, he changed.
Yep. And that's why I always, even if you're just a line worker, if you're
anyone,
you're shorter, you don't have to be some superstar athlete or some hotshot lawyer in New York City.
I was just saying, like, I thought Lou was maybe suggesting, like, if they're that big, they probably wouldn't want to do it. I was just saying, like, the people who really get better and be the best versions of themselves, you don't have to be like coming out of jail or really in trouble to go see a therapist, right? You
No.
could be really successful like a lawyer and still see a therapist. That's what I was trying to say.
Sure.
Like
Absolutely.
every type of person in the world, every type of person in the world would benefit from one. I think at least when they're going through stuff because it's someone to talk to, like you said.
And
It's huge.
and you know, it's not like you have to go to a therapist every single day for an hour and cry on their couch. You can go once a month, once every couple of months. I only see my therapist once every 3 months.
I've
Just
gone
to
before,
check
yeah.
in.
Just to talk, yeah.
And
You just get it out and kind of, yeah.
hey,
'cause
how's it going? How's things been? How are you doing on your medicine? Is it helping? Is it hurting? How are you feeling? And
Yeah.
I'm in there for maybe 5-10 minutes and then I'm out the door, and it's really nice.
I think that, and I think there's a lot of sports psychologists that are hired by teams too. That have
Yeah.
it's sensitive, confident. They're not going to broadcast it. Hey, I need help on Facebook or Instagram, but it's happening. We just don't know about it. There's a lot of teams that have team doctors. Those
Yeah.
guys are under a heck of a lot of pressure. Imagine being him, where you have like a loaded roster, and they were so close for a couple of years. He was just probably under so much pressure. And then if you throw in something else going on, maybe he starts hitting the bottle or acting out to get rid of it. But he just, thank God, he got it under control. And that's a huge. Think about how much responsibility, not only being on millions of crazy, weird fans like me, but also just more importantly, dealing with the players like every minute.
Really?
These guys are world class. So much. Their owner is looking down on them to make money and win things.
Yeah.
So much pressure from so many people.
And then you have the owner, the GM, all your players.
Every player is scrutinized. Every move you make.
You have all the players
Sure.
that look up to you. You have the GM that all the coaches that rely on you to be there, to be a sounding board. Hey, coach, we're having issues. You might have, the wide receiver coach comes in and says, hey, Devontae Smith, he's not making his cut at 15 yards. He's loping. He's cutting at 14. I need you to go talk to him because I can't get through to him. So now he's got to come down out of his office, pause everything he's doing, go down, talk to Devontae Smith. And then he's got to go back upstairs, finish everything, get back into what he was doing. Then next thing he knows, the owner's coming down. Hey, so-and-so from the Philadelphia Tribune wants a quote. Now he's got to spend time giving them a quote. Oh, hey, First Take wants to do an interview with you on Wednesday morning at 8:30.
Those coaches are sleeping. Those coaches are sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night. John Gruden was interviewed back with Sports Illustrated was the publication when I was growing up. That was bigger than ESPN. Yeah, I remember. I used to every Thursday or Friday get it in my mom's mailbox. Pretty cool. And I remember reading about this guy. Oh my God, Gruden, when he was the Bucs coach, his wife, they interviewed him. Like, how much does your husband love football? She was like, he sleeps an average of maybe 1 hour a night.
How do you live on that?
And it's normally at the office or on the floor, and she's in the master room, and he'll sleep 1 hour a night, and he's all day he's coaching 120 players because the practice dealing with 25 assistants, the owner, the media. I mean, the pressure.
Every dumbass fan,
a robot. And Sirianni is just he it was too much for him.
And every dumbass fan that knows way better than the coach. Guilty.
Exactly. Yeah.
Guilty.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Does Campbell call the plays? I don't know what you guys think. I really prefer where the head coach is just kind of overseeing and the coordinators call the plays. I think the head coach it's too much calling the plays. What do you guys think?
Ben Johnson was calling the plays, but Dan Campbell had final say so. If they called a run to the left, whatever the call might be, X gun spot Y, all tackle 7 on 2, and they called it 3 times and had been unsuccessful. Dan Campbell could override it and say, no, we're gonna go with something else. But for the most part, Ben Johnson was calling the offensive plays, and I think Aaron Glenn called all the defensive plays.
Last year.
So I really do. I think I agree Yeah, I think that's the right approach where the head coach has final say, but for the most part, the coordinators do the coordinating, call the plays. And then the head coach is the clock manager and the game manager. He calls timeouts. He calls personnel. He calls packages. Oh, and then at the end of the day, he's there to yell at the guys that need yelled at and hug the guys that need hugged.
Yeah. So
Some
the guy,
guys-
he's like a relationship manager. He's like just helping to make sure the whole family, everyone's getting along and everyone's getting their work, their assignments done. I really like when the head coach is just kind of overseeing it and let the coordinators call the shots. Call the plays.
Some guys need screamed at. Some guys need a hug, and the head coach has to know which one is which.
Different strokes, different folks.
Yes.
Indeed.
Gentlemen, you want to call right there?
We'll call right
Sounds
there.
good to me.
Go ahead, Lou, and talk about your show before we get off here.
All right, Enhanced Sports Show keeps on rolling all year long. Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a big show as usual. We'll discuss the NHL trade deadline, which is tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. College basketball, as the Southern Conference tournaments are starting to heat up now. It's not much of the major conferences, but more like the Mid-American. But I'm gonna keep tabs on that anyway. I'm still on Ovi watch, so gonna keep an eye on that because he's now only 9 away from tying Gretzky's record. So I'll be paying attention to that.
Another one tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. They won last night. Tom Wilson scored the winning goal. Yuck. One of the most dirtiest players in the league. Thanks a lot.
Lou, please tell us how you really feel. Come on, give some emotion.
Yeah. MLB spring training.
Way too tame.
Yeah, we'll keep most of the tabs on the on the few days leading up to the NFL new league year. I know it begins on Wednesday, but there are some moves already, so we'll keep tabs on that in preparation for the new league year to start. Also, WWE, UFC, and NBA, as we're gearing towards the postseason as well. Of course, your thoughts and comments are always welcome. This week in sports history, our idiot of the week, the feel good story of the week. And I think I got a good one on that one, so you might want to listen for that. And of course, like I said, your thoughts and comments are always welcome. Number is 512-543-4662. Don't forget to like and share. You can check us on YouTube. So don't forget to type in YouTube and then type in the Enhanced Sports Show. If you do it the other way around, you don't get squat.
All right, guys. Well, we will be back here next week. I want to thank these three gentlemen for making these days fun. Thanks to our newest sponsor, biotropicallabs.com. Thank you again, Craig, for partnering with me again. Type in the code TWR for 15% off any one-time purchase, and you get 20% off. Type in code TWRS for any subscription purchase, and you get one supplement for free when you subscribe. Again, thank you for Craig for helping me. We're partners now with the company. So anyway, again, guys, I want to thank the men and women of our armed services and our first responders. Thank you for doing what you do. We wouldn't be here without you. Guys, we'll be back next week. This is one of the, I don't know, man. This is was really a fun show. I appreciate this. This was kind of cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Different location, but it was a lot of fun. We'll be back again next week, guys. I am the Sports Star Bradley Walker. This has been the Walker Report. Peace.
Good night.
That's Prince.
Peace all.